class is going to be about guard retention. Yeah, it's going to be more like conceptual stuff. Maybe if we have time, we can go over some offenses off guard retention, but I just want to try to get through a couple of different concepts first. Before I actually want to dive into the retention itself, I want you guys to just grab a partner and just understand the problem of getting a guard pass, or like how, in this scenario what I'm going to explain now, like what are the problems for him to solve as he's retaining his guard. So we're basically going to go over guard retention regarding Torianto, or like outside style passing. He is laying on his back. So the person that's attacking is going to focus on trying to keep his hips away for one round and pass him off of that. It's just the first drill. And the bottom person who's actually doing the guard retention is just trying to keep his hips facing towards me, like hip to facing mine. If he gets completely turned away and we end up here, we're just going to reset and we go again. I'm trying to, it's going to be really like easy round, so the person on top is just trying to push and the person on the bottom is just trying to figure out like what to do. If like you see an opening where you like can knee side or something, then you can go for it as the front player. But before I actually dive into technique, I just want to do like 2 minutes or 3 minutes each and then switch top to bottom. So grab a partner. So basically, like when we, at least when I think about guard retention, I always try to think about first, like the order for him to pass is first he has to control my legs, get an angle or get my legs out of the way. Then he has to control my hip, and then he can access the upper body. So like it's always these steps in this order. If he skips my hip, so he like controls my leg, and he goes like too high, like my hips and my knees are gonna be able to find a way in. And that applies also in pressure passing. So like almost every guard passing is always legs, hips, upper body. And what I do with my frame and how I move my hips is gonna prevent him accessing my hip. Like if my legs are still in front, I still have a guard and I don't have to retain my guard. Retention is only when he's about to pass. And then the next layer of guard retention, which is almost like a side control escape, basically is just when he's accessed my hips. You know what I mean? So what I saw people doing a lot was when the person went to control the legs and he got them out of the way, he was not like completely on my hips. They started to post the legs on the ground, which is bad for me because I'm opening up the space which I want to keep closed, which is the space that is closing him to get to my hips. So that was the first kind of mistake I saw a lot. And the second one was your hands both were on him, so there was no power in your core to rotate to keep his hips facing him. So when I feel like he's about to get to the side here and he's pushing my hips away, I only have to have one hand posting and the second hand is gonna hit the mat to rotate my hips, like this. And I can even post on my my thigh here to have as a frame that's connected to the ground. When my hips are facing, I can easily like rotate my top leg in. And then I'll keep my hips facing in again. So, one more time. Like I don't step on the mat, I just try to focus on my hips facing in. So my elbow is hitting the mat and my hip is almost like it's connecting to my elbow. So you go again, here. And then I come on in. My hand is gonna usually look for his arm. So go here. I'll explain later why that's important, but for now let's just try that. It's a lot of, you have to like move your hip to your elbow. Like try to think about like you're connecting your hip to the elbow. If you just focus on like pushing your legs to him, then your knees are gonna collapse like together. You always want to have your knees separate. That's why I only move my hip, not my knees. Okay. Questions or you just want to try? Okay. Is there any questions before I like?
Yes. Yes. I was so focused on catching the arm that sometimes I caught nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, like when he's standing, when he's pushing my hips like this, if he does not push my hips, if he's just rotating, then my legs are just gonna find the space really easily. Like but he has to be pushing my hips, like pushing my knees, like to let my hips facing this way. If you, like you said, if you too focus on the arm, then you forget about your own hips facing him. So the first layer is always my hips facing his hips, like this, and my arm just comes out like naturally to connect to his arm. If it goes here and my hips are still facing him, like it's still doable to let my legs come in place. And when my elbow hits the mat, it's soon as it finds the connection, my hips are facing him straight away. I'm not like waiting for him to push and then I push my elbow and then I try to do this. That's way too slow. So it has to be like this.
How to move your
my knee down.
yeah.
It just happened naturally because my hips are like connecting to my elbow. And as soon as my hips are facing you, this rotates back in. Or if your elbow is really close, like this, you can rotate over.
What happens if you are late and you're up against your brace there?
Yeah. So if my hands are still here, if it's still here, I post on my own thigh. That's why I showed this, because if I'm late and I'm battling him trying to push my knee, I just frame on my own thigh and then I can buy me time to get my hips like back in place. And this also helps me like inverting and stuff like that when it starts to run. Basically what I want to avoid at all times in this like situation. So what I see people doing a lot is he pushes the hips and they try to like do this straight away. Like they try to do this retention. Which can work, but it's giving him like it's giving him way too much chance of like getting your back, passing your guard and stuff like that. There was a time there you just made your hip facing you, and that's like an earlier retention than actually going cramming out like this. The next situation I want to cover is off that pass. So basically, when I push and I find when Tommy moves his hip facing me, this happens a lot. This knee gets pinned and the person lowers his hips and he tries to go lower than this leg. So as a guard passer, if I'm good at guard passing, I know I have to avoid this far leg at all times. Like I don't want him to re-pummel this far leg. So that's the whole game. And there are these two ways, like pushing the hips, then it makes him really hard for him to pummel the leg back inside, or try to get low, like this. But there are two, like the main differences between those two styles of Toriando passes is one is low, where I'm not pushing his hips away, and one is high. So like we were doing the high one now, like this. But they also connect together. So now the guard passer is gonna push the hips away, he's gonna answer with the elbow post, and I'm just gonna lower and be like here. And pinning this knee to me. So I have to switch my game plan a little bit. So we're here, and now the elbow comes in my hip. So this elbow comes here, and we swing to that. Yeah, like this. If I don't do anything and I keep my elbow far, I'm just gonna drive my hips to the side. So just do this, yeah, like this, yeah. As soon as I feel this, my hand is going to cover the shoulder. I don't have to keep it out like this because he's not pushing my hips this way. He's just pinning my knee. And he's trying to walk around to push my knee down. In this situation, I'm going to post on his shoulder, and the hand that was posting on his arm is still there because in the first one, I was posting on his arm, so it's just at the same place. Now I kick my leg down to break the connection, and I bring it back up. So just do the knee pin first. Yeah, like this. So it's a different pass. He's going here, and instead of posting on the by the mat on the far side, I post on his shoulder, and he actually is going to drive in, and I break the connection by kicking out and in again. One more time. Okay? Do we give it a go or wanna ask a question? One more time. One more time. So shoulder, arm, like this. But of course, I'm waiting because I'm just talking, but as soon as I feel this, I'm kicking out and in straight again. All right, take it out. It's really important to understand the difference of these two passes, because if I push his knee down like this and I'm still high, so I don't actually lower my shoulder enough for him to rotate this in. So I'm just high like this. So now you just rotate your leg in, and this leg is really easy to put his hips back in front of my hips. So as soon as as soon as this leg comes in, I have to kind of reset to switch side or to switch my strategy a little bit. So when you're doing this low style of Toriando, make sure that you're actually low and your legs has to be back then. So the closer my legs comes to his hips, the higher my shoulder is going to go, and the easier for him to put this the leg in. So when I'm passing, I have to lower, and then this makes sense with the shoulder. So push on the shoulder, yeah, and find my arm, and now you break the connection and set it go. Because many people will just like, we're here and then the other one didn't make sense. So now he's actually doing the right thing and doing his legging there. So let's say that he's here and he's stepping quick on across it like this. If he gets like this close, that means that my legs were, he caught me when I was if my legs are like this, of course he has more space of rotating around my guard. So that's why I have to keep my knees separate. And I never break this. So as soon as my knees come together, then he can cross step and go in and all sort of fashion. So if this happens and he's high, so he's here and he's high. Like if I can rotate, I can put my leg inside. Sort of like I'm going for a 50-50 style. Here, here. Now I kind of lost it. He crossed step in, so I have to rotate and put my leg in. And I saw if you guys did Dali's class, you could connect that to the style of here. Cross frame, and throwing your leg inside. And then just pushing his weight forward, he can back step forward, that sort of stuff. Okay? Give it a go or ask any questions?
One more time.
Here.
What direction are you taking it?
Oh, okay. Where's the butt?
Yeah. Okay. I was not time to just because many people ask me the same question of what if you're stepping straight in without pushing your hips anywhere and if you step like this. And I miss my opportunity to actually rotate this and then this leaves this open and you can go for the spin for the But the more he lowers and the more he squares like this, the harder, of course, is like for him to go on. So basically here, there's just this pocket here. So the higher I am, which is usually what happens when he's like cross-stepping like this in for guard pass, and this is more open. But the next like guard retention sequence or scenario I want to cover is basically from this position. When your legs are together like this. Leg weave or leg smash or whatever. So the top player is gonna create a scenario where he has both legs together and he has two directions. He has in front, which is mount or side control, or like pummeling to go for the go behind. So we're going to go like this. And he's going to actually go across this like this. In this scenario, like I have to notice that that his arms are pretty much everything I really have to focus on his arm, because the higher he gets with his arm, the more he's going to sell the position he's going to go in later. So let's say he has high arm here, and he's going to go with this behind like now, like in towards my back. Just walk towards my back, like in pass this way, and relax, like this. Now it's really, really difficult to deal with the second full escape. So my frames are going to be 2 C-grips on his elbow like this. And I'm basically just going to give him this direction, so your right side. Like this. Yeah. Because I have a C-grip frame on his right arm, I can use my right leg to turn it into him, and my right arm is going to cross post, like this. This C-grip on the right elbow has to be here the whole time. And then it's the same kind of concept as before, like where I'm going to have to break this connection on my knee to get back to guard. So from the neck grip, play with these 2 C-grips. Put your knees higher, so we kind of are forced to go to the backside. Here. And now, like baby shrimp, I think, or reverse shrimp. Here. Okay? The last thing we're going to do probably. So, any questions about this before we try it out?
Let's see again.
Yeah. C-grip, hold elbow, knees high, so close to my chest, goes behind, and then as soon as I feel him go to my left, my right arm is going to post, so I can put my hips in front of his hips. Like this.
Omar, your right arm is what doing what?
My right arm?
Is the under ring or is the over right arm? First you showed under, then you grab the head.
Yeah, now in this case, his head was really far, so I might have to push his head.
Okay.
The closer his heads are to the middle of it, like in this direction, I don't have to push it anymore.
Okay.
But in the beginning, my right arm is on his elbow. The reason why I choose to go for the both elbows is because if I skip one elbow, I just focus on the kind of the back elbow here, or his right arm. He can still go in this direction by cross-facing and everything. Yeah, or just grab my hand. Yeah. Or yeah. So that's the reason why I go 2 C-grips. Yeah, no worries. Oh, it's fine. Go behind. Okay. Let's try it out.
You're trying to get to my head with your hands?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But is there any questions about any of the stuff we did?
Yeah, we have the problem that we tend to smash each other.
Okay.
And when we lay on top, it's impossible to apply a secret sport to move around it.
Oh, so it's possible on the bottom to get the C-grip?
Yeah, it's
I need to bring it.
It's like if someone like smashes
usually I would take the underhook and go really high with it.
Yeah, I mean that's the basically just went to the next layer of defense for him. Like this is basically what you should not let happen for the C-grips. Like the reason why I do the C-grips so you cannot go higher with the arms. So like basically here you're kind of high, so I would basically just try to get my knee back in front. Yeah, that would be my battle there. But if your head is down, yeah, now is the secret game.
Right.
Now just facing the side that your hips are facing. Any other? Okay. That was my class. Thank you so much for coming.